Will the end of forbearance lead to a flood of foreclosures? I'm going to give you 4 reasons why it won't, coming up next. Hey, what's going on, friends? Dylan Nanaka here with the Buy Big Island video blog. And as you're seeing in the news, those forbearance programs that have allowed people to take a break from paying their mortgage or push paying their mortgage off into the future is going to be coming to an end here shortly. And there is some speculation that because those programs are ending and that protection is ending, that there's going to be a big wave of foreclosures coming up in the future, and that may change the housing market or put a bunch of new supply on the market and just have an overall effect. And so again, we're going to point back to the data and take a look at what is actually going on in the market and what is actually going on with forbearance, and see if that does prove that there will be a flood of foreclosures or if there won't be. And so reason number 1, where that makes it pretty clear that this is a very different situation, and again, we remember and we think about 2007-8, the last crash, right? And we think that potentially that's going to happen again, and we've done a video on why that's not the case. But if we compare the last housing crisis and the foreclosures that took place then to the market today, we get a very interesting picture. So very important data point. After the last crash, there were 9.3 million foreclosures across the United States. That is a ton, right? A ton of foreclosures. 9.3 million is just mind-boggling to wrap your head around. But if you look today at people who have a mortgage, who are in forbearance, who are distressed, who are having trouble paying their mortgage, that number is less than 1.9 million. And so it's 20% of what there was in the last crash. And so very, very different, right? Just the number of borrowers and people who have a mortgage who are currently behind or who are currently distressed is a fraction of what it was the last time. So even if all of them went into foreclosure, which I want to talk about why they won't, it's not going to be anywhere near the volume that we saw in the last crash in 2008, 2009, right? So that's the first one. That's reason number 1. Way less people are distressed today than they were 10 years ago. All right, reason number 2. Of those 1.86 million people who are currently in forbearance, very, very important that 87% of them have over 10% equity in their house. And so what does that mean? So in the last crash, people were underwater, right? They bought when the market was high, the market took a dip, and now they couldn't sell their house because they owed more than the house they could sell it for. And right now, 87% of people who are in forbearance have over 10% equity in their house. And the reason 10% is an important number is because 10% is roughly the cost, gives you a good cushion, right, to pay for all of the costs of selling your house. The closing costs, commissions, maybe any penalties and fees that you have for being behind on your mortgage. So if you have greater than 10% equity in your house, you can very likely just put it on the market, especially in the hot market that we're in, and it will sell. You'll be able to pay off your mortgage and pay off any of the closing costs that come along with that. So very, very important. Those people who are in forbearance right now, they do have the option to sell if they can't catch up on their mortgage or it continues to be a strain, and they will be able to pay off their mortgage, any penalties and fees, any closing costs, and walk away potentially with some equity also, because they could have greater than 10%. If they have 30, 40, 50% equity in their house, they could walk away with some cash in their pocket and be able to start over. So very, very important number. Number 3, the current market, like we've been talking about for months and months and months, is very low on inventory right now. And so the housing market can absorb any new listings that come to the market. Part of the problem back 10 years ago was when foreclosures started happening or people tried to go and sell their house, there were too many homes on the market already, and lending had tightened up, and nobody could buy any of those homes. And so now, nationally, and this is even worse here in Hawaii, right? We have less than 3 months of inventory on the market. 10 years ago, there was over 9 months of inventory on the market. And what does that mean? That's kind of like real estate jargon, right? So the easy way to think about it is, if no new homes came on the market today, based on the current inventory, the number of homes that were on the market, how long would it take for all those homes to sell? And on the Big Island, it's like a month and a half. Like there's barely enough homes on the market to sustain us for a month if no new homes came on the market. Nationally, it's 3 months, so there's a little bit more supply nationally. But 10 years ago, it was 9 months, so there was a lot more inventory on the market. This time there isn't. So if new homes come on the market due to any type of foreclosure, or these people who are in forbearance put their homes on the market to take advantage of the equity, those homes will sell, right? The market will absorb those homes. There's enough buyers in the market to buy those homes and get those folks out of the distress situation that they're in. So that is very important point. That's very different than it was 10 years ago. All right, number 4, and maybe the biggest and most important one, right, is government. Government learned its lesson. Our leaders learned its lesson. It's very likely that the government that we have at many different levels is not going to let that happen again in terms of what happened 10 years ago, right? There's going to be policies put into place. There may be laws passed. There may be regulations changed. Stuff is going to happen to prevent the type of total crisis that we faced 10 years ago. So that's just important to remember. We've seen it happen already once. We've made some changes in the lending industry and changes in regulations in terms of the housing market. And going forward, I am very sure that those in power are going to do whatever they can to prevent the same type of crisis happening again. And we've seen that already over the past 18 months and the different policies put into place for COVID and other things. But going forward, if anything like this starts happening again, I'm sure there's going to be some policies put into place to prevent it, because they're going to see it coming, and it's likely to come because the market is very different and the situation is very different. But if there wasn't, we definitely would see some the leadership step up and step in and do something to prevent the kind of crisis that we had. So those are 4 big reasons why the end of forbearance will not lead to a flood of foreclosures. And so again, if you're waiting for that, I get that from people sometimes where they say, oh, there's gonna be a lot of foreclosures here soon, I'm just gonna wait to buy then. Probably not gonna happen. So you may be waiting for a while, and you may be waiting forever, because it's a very different situation than it was the last time. But as always, if you have any questions or you disagree, put them in the comments. Hit me up at dylan@buybigisland.com, and I'd love to discuss it with you. Thank you guys for listening. Aloha.